Welcome. This is the Poker Central podcast. I'm once again joined by Brent Hanks, and we have a very special guest on today's show. It is none other than Barstool Nate. We'll bring him into the fold first and foremost. Brent, I want to know what the smoke is. Are you smoking weed right now?
No, that's incense, Remco. I like to burn incense. Nag Champa. Really set the tone here in my loft.
Are you a Buddhist now?
I'm a change man. I mean, this quarantine is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
I don't believe it.
Facial hair. Are you kidding me right now?
I mean, I don't believe it for a second. I
haven't showered in weeks.
I think it's time to bring Nate into the fold here. Nate, you look very comfortable on the couch over there, but of course, this podcast is mainly a therapy session to make sure you're doing okay. Because I'm very, very worried. How are things over there in New York City?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Second of all, I am here in New York. Let me start with this. I would rather be anywhere else in the entire world right now than in my apartment in New York. That being said, I'm doing okay, but little by little, everything I love in life is being taken away from me. Like first it was sports, and then it was being able to go to bars. And now I'm at the point where my 7-Eleven across the street from my apartment has closed, so I can't even buy M&Ms anymore. So I don't know where I'll be at a week from now because I'm like hanging on. I'm trying to stay optimistic. What we need right now is optimism, not negativity. So I'm trying to stay optimistic, but losing M&Ms, that one really hurt.
All right. I mean, we're going to get you through this. We're going to make sure you're okay. By the end of this hour, I hope you feel better. Get some stuff off your chest. For the people in the chat who are also at home, just watching, waiting, hoping for this all to pass, let us know your questions for Nate. We're going to try to get through as many as possible. And also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have new videos coming out on this channel every single day. And of course, a podcast once a week in which I basically provide some kind of therapy role for Brent and for the guest. Because as you can tell, I'm doing great. My hair is looking good. Nate was already complimenting me on that. The beard is going to be a time lapse. It's going to grow exponentially. First of all,
I should have done that. So I haven't shaved. What happened? Very bad luck on my part. I got the real flu, not the coronavirus, the real flu 2 weeks before the whole quarantine thing happened. So I haven't really left my apartment in a month now. This is week 5 for me because I was home dying of the flu for 2 weeks. And then I was finally better, ready to go back to work, and we were all told to stay home. So I've been doing this for 2 weeks longer than everybody else. Haven't shaved, finally started showering again. So I'm finally now getting into the routine. So you guys can be wild boys for a couple more weeks, and then you'll finally start settling down.
So the first thing I want to know, Nate, is that being a person that lives on the internet, at first you think like, oh, quarantine, nothing's going to change. I live on the internet anyway. It's going to be totally fine. At what point did you start missing the outside world?
Dude, I love working from home. It's my favorite thing. I hate going into the office. Our office is small and dirty, and we have mice, and I can't get anything done. It's very distracting. I love working from home. The worst part is not being able to go anywhere after work, not being able to go out to a bar, not being able to meet up with people for dinner, like not knowing if I can go get pizza. It's stuff like that. And then, of course, the crushing anxiety of knowing that this is the next, 3 months of my life where it's like, all right, it's another day. Don't know what day it is. Guess I'm sitting on my couch for the next 18 hours, go to bed, try to fall asleep for an hour, get about 4.5 hours of sleep, and then just start it all over again. I've done 0 exercise. I have a weight, a dumbbell, one, that I have not picked up. I've thought about it, but I haven't picked it up yet. I went for one walk where I loaded up a water bottle with vodka and I walked around and I ended up eating 6 cookies. There's a place called Insomnia Cookies.
Stop.
Go on.
You loaded up a water bottle with vodka and you walked around New York City eating cookies while drinking your vodka?
Yes, that's correct. Which part didn't you understand?
Keep going.
Okay, yeah, so that was the one time I took a walk. Was I just drank vodka, pink lemonade vodka by myself while eating about 3,000 calories worth of cookies. And that's all the exercise I've had in a month.
Let's get back to the mice, though. Is the Barstool office like a health hazard?
inundated with mice. There's more mice than employees there. They own the place. It is so gross.
Wow.
Well, I don't understand why poor Dave isn't having the mice problem taken care of. Is this a part of Barstool, the brand?
I don't know, man. I can't figure. Anytime I'm like, hey, do you think we can handle the mice? It's like, that's just part of living in New York. That's just part of being in New York. When our old office was tiny and dirty as well, and we didn't have any mice, I was like, well, that kills your argument. But yeah, we have mice. That we did put down traps one time, and we put down like 3 sticky traps, caught 3 mice, and then we just never got more traps. So I don't know.
Wow. So now that no one's in the office, obviously the mice are running the show. They're biting through all the cables.
It's goddamn Ratatouille in there, bro. Like, we're going to come back, and I'm just going to have, like, the king mouse at my desk. I'll be like, can I get you coffee, king mouse? And I'll go get him coffee. That's what, when we go back in July, that's what's it's going to be.
I mean, the one thing that I want to also sort of emphasize on this podcast is that this quarantine was a layup for you to become a top-level online poker player. And also, of course, a famous streamer of some kind. And then lawyers got involved right away. Start with the idea of you being like, you know what, I'm home, I'm going to play poker, and I'm going to stream. And then what the hell happened with the takedown?
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm going to have to pick my words so I don't get in trouble, but
okay.
Also whatever.
Don't get fired. Okay, don't get fired.
Whatever. I wanted to play on ACR or a site. I wanted to play online poker for a while. I live in New York City. There's nowhere to legally play, whatever. Regulated, I guess is the word. And then Jeff Platt, our friend Jeff, he binked a tournament on ACR, and I couldn't figure out how to get money onto the site. Like, my credit cards weren't working. I don't have enough crypto to put crypto on it. I was like, all right, I guess I'm never playing online poker again. He then binks like something for a bunch of money, and I was like, hey, can you send me some money? I'll Venmo you. And he's like, certainly. So that's what we did. I finally had money on the site, and I was like, this is great. I love playing online poker. This is the only thing in the world that makes me happy. Meanwhile, I hadn't spoken out loud because of the quarantine in days, just like had not spoken. So I was like, I'm just going to start streaming. It can't be that difficult to do. It would be nice to interact with the chat and talk out loud. I start streaming. I immediately become the best streamer of all time, like immediately. Like, I'm on the Mount Rushmore of streamers immediately. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to be the biggest poker streamer within 6 months. This is perfect. I love it. My career is about to take off. Streaming numbers are going to be through the roof. I'm going to have advertisers knocking down my door. All of this. I get a call from the lawyer. You can't play on ACR on the stream. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, it's illegal to play on ACR. You can't do it. I was like, brother, look, if a regulator was ever going to shut down Barstool Sports, it's not going to be because Barstool Nate was playing a $15 tournament on a stream. That is like the last thing that they're going to care about. He's like, I understand you're not necessarily wrong about that, but you know, it's a lawyer. He has to do his job, and lawyers are binary, yes or no. And he's like, you can't stream. Like, in the state of New York, you're not allowed to stream. We have to shut it down. And just like that, my streaming career was over. And now I'm just back to being a bum on my couch.
Now, hold on. I want to get a little deeper in that. And I by all means, you have to listen to your lawyer. First of all, it's not illegal for anyone to play on ACR. That's not true. You're not law. You're not breaking any law by playing online poker. It's illegal for them to operate inside the United States.
That was the argument that I made, was I'm not breaking the law. First of all, I don't even like using the word law. It's all a gray area of what we can't do. I'd like to point that out. Nobody really knows what the law is. What is the law? We're in quarantine. Do laws even exist anymore? Hard to say. So he was saying that in the state of New York, it's New York state law that if you're going to be wagering money, you have to be inside of a casino.
So you are breaking the law in the state of New York if you play on ACR. That's what's being suggested.
That's what's being suggested. I counter with AC. If anybody is breaking the law, it's ACR for operating. In the history of online poker, not one online poker player has ever gotten in trouble for playing online. Like, even the people that have stolen millions of dollars, I'm pretty sure Russ Hamilton is out there on a golf course right now, not in jail. Nothing happens to the player. nothing.
He better not be out on a golf course right now, Nate. This is a quarantine. He lives in Nevada. He's out here in Vegas. If he's out on the golf course right now, he's violating the rules of the quarantine.
That's the worst thing he's ever done. Yes, I agree.
Exactly. So then now that you cannot stream anymore, are you still putting your nose to the grindstone? Are you deep into Berkey's course? Are you a run-it-up pro, a run-it-once pro now? What's happening?
I mean, I was playing pretty good. I have some bones to pick with ACR. People always are DMing me and asking me, should I play here? Should I play there? Where should I play? I like ACR because I'm a tournament player, and it reminds me of the old days on PokerStars. Big fields, low buy-ins, a lot of money up top. Perfect. Exactly what I want. They have 6 hours of late reg in every tournament and unlimited re-entry, and that is not good if you're trying to do this on a budget, because it is so easy to fire 3, 4, 5, 6 bullets in a tournament because you just keep looking at the money up top. You're like, I don't know, what am I going to do? Like, not play another bullet? They're so soft. I'm feeling good about my game. It's just like really hard to afford. And I've talked to pros. I'm not a pro, obviously. I've talked to pros and they're like, yeah, dude, ACR will suck your money away before you even realize it's gone. Like, you have to be really careful. Plus, you know, the pros are playing, like, they run daily 1Ks with unlimited reentry. They have like a 2,500 on this Sunday with unlimited reentry for 6 hours. Like, you can lose a ton of money really quick. So a guy told me yesterday, he's like, hey, you encouraged me to play on ACR. I was like, dude, I'm not encouraging anybody. I don't want that on my conscience. Like, if you can afford it and you have the bankroll or you have the responsibility to practice good bankroll management, by all means, but know what you're getting into. I played probably my biggest amount of buy-ins on this last Sunday, and I lost my ass on it after making a couple decent cashes too. Like, just from firing bullets. It's really hard to stop yourself when it's just sitting right there in front of you.
So are you up or down right now on ACR?
Brian, what do you think, bud? What do you think?
You're stuck. Well, that's okay. I mean, it's tournaments. You're not supposed to be, winning them all, or cashing them all. I cash like 20%. That's great.
But also,
that's what's so annoying. I'm cashing at a good clip. I've had a couple deep-ish runs, but nothing of note. And so I'm fresh out of money on ACR. I've busted my Jeff Platt money.
But also
now
the rule.
I'm making a decision on what to do.
The rule also is, as long as you're stuck, you have to keep playing. So, do you have enough income to support this habit that's going to get exponentially more expensive as this quarantine continues?
I knocked on wood because as of now, I am fortunate enough to have an income, which, all jokes aside, I'm very lucky to be able to say. I feel just terribly for like my bar owner friends and stuff like that. Like, we've become close with like a couple local bar owners around where I live, and it's like they're just out of work. It's like they're paying rent at their bar, they're paying rent at their apartment, and they have no money coming in. It's like, fuck, that sucks. So we're gonna do like fundraisers and stuff like that when they reopen, throw some parties to get them back on their feet. But yeah, I thankfully have my Barstool paycheck still coming in. So if I want to put more money on ACR, I can. I need to look at the schedule. I need to make a plan, and I need to be responsible. I can't keep blasting every day the way I've been blasting. It's just not sustainable. Or I need to find some Mr. Moneybags Brent Hanks who wants to put me on a backing deal.
Oh no, I'm Stone Busto. You're forgetting I have a house, children, family, and all this thing.
Yeah, you do have 100 kids.
I don't have any more money. I'm out.
You cannot have children.
No, yeah. Well, I could sell my kids. That's another topic for another day. Nate, tell me about the Barstool way of life right now. You guys obviously just a powerhouse of a sports media company. What is everyone doing? How is this company functioning? Walk us through the day-to-day for everyone at Barstool. Let's start with something we're familiar with, like the Pardon My Take crew, Big Cat, PFT. What are they doing?
To be honest, like we're lucky for a couple reasons. One, we're more of a personality focus site where we don't need sports to function. We're not like a sports blog where we're writing about the X's and O's of last night's basketball game. We're personality driven, and we make, I hate the word content because I think it's like a cringy word, but we make content. It's what we do. We're a content factory. So we just pivot and adjust. I wake up, I do my normal blogging. There's no Redskins to blog about. There's no Capitals to blog about. There's no Nationals opening day. It sucks. Not having sports is the worst, but we're also making the best out of it. Like, what can we do when there's not sports? And I've been going up onto my roof, climbing my fire escape, which is a second from crumbling. I am going to, by the way, I want this on record. It's nobody's fault when I step on my fire escape and the whole thing collapses and I fall to my death. It's my fault because I know it's going to happen. So I've been going up to my roof, doing some roof talk on Periscope. Guys like there's people inventing sports. Like Marty's been trying to throw ping pong balls into solo cups from like his upstairs balcony to downstairs. Big Cat has one of those little magnetic horse things in his apartment. He's doing the Big Cat Derby every night. There are ways around not having sports. I was poker streaming for 3 days. We have the Twitch channel firing 24 hours a day. So we're making the best of it. We're doing what we can given the situation. And I think it's going as well as we know how to do it.
I got to imagine our good friend Smitty as well. I mean, with the game time thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that the prime time situation for him? He's just at home. He can stream all these esports, all the games.
Yeah, and I'm unlucky. Well, not unlucky because it's my fault, but I'm not a video game guy. I don't own a video game system. So I'm thinking about getting something just so I can have something to do. Like, I'm not good at video games. I like N64. I'm good at Mario Kart and GoldenEye. But if you had me try to play Madden, this last year's Madden, I would be absolutely terrible. Video games are too hard for me. Like, I can't beat these 9-year-olds who know how to, like, change coverages in Madden and stuff. No, I can't do that. So I'm thinking about getting one of the Switches, the Nintendo Switches, so I can just play children games on Twitch. And that's the extent of. And I'm thinking about getting a dog. It's probably a bad idea. Now, I would love my dog. I wouldn't give it back when this whole thing is done. But I'm aware that the only reason I'm thinking about getting a dog is so I have companionship right now, and I'll be home all the time. And I don't know if I'm ready for the responsibility, but if I was to get a dog, no better time than now.
Well, I want to know. I want to know.
Go ahead, Rim.
I want to know one thing very specifically. You are a single man living in New York City, which is completely shut down. How are the dating apps right now? How are they really hot right now?
So I'm too ugly for dating apps. I've only been on a couple, but I don't get any matches because I'm too ugly, so I don't have any dating apps.
Damn, man, this is like an expose you could dive into. Get all the apps and dive into how this has changed during the quarantine. I'm really curious about how this is going to go.
I'm sure it's pretty thirsty out there. I mean, it is prime time to shoot your shot. There is no better time to shoot your shot. It doesn't even matter where the person lives because you're never going to see them. Like they could live down the block or in California, and it doesn't matter because I'm going to see that person in real life the same amount of times. So it is prime shoot your shot time. And I have noticed from talking to friends and my own personal life that if there is a time to DM a girl that you've been eyeing, just say hello now. You have absolutely nothing to lose. The amount you can lose is zero. Though at worst, she leaves you on red. Oh well.
And then of course the second thing is, and I really wonder if you're a big time cook now that you've been home so much, or is the tab on Postmates or Uber Eats or whatever you're using getting really out of hand? And then in line with that, what are we ordering lately?
So I've been to the grocery store twice. I have a pizza and sandwich place across the street from me that has remained open that I've done pickup from a couple times. I haven't gotten any delivery. I've only picked up food from this one place a couple times. Besides that, I'm eating baked chicken and tuna and eggs and really just poor people shit like that. And then family-sized bags of M&Ms every day. And that's basically my diet. Cookies, beer. And then when I went to the grocery store last time, I bought filet mignon, fillets for the first time, and I learned how to cook those. That was the first time, 31 years old, that I've ever cooked steak at home by myself, and it turned out really, really well. So I'm into that now.
Why the dating life hasn't been going so well? It's the first time you've made a steak, and you're 31.
I've always eaten steak when I've gone out to restaurants and stuff. I love steak. I've always found it so daunting to make at home, doing the whole searing thing, and people are always like reverse sear, and then you have to put it on a cast iron skillet in the oven. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna put chicken into the oven and then eat that because it's easy. But no, I cooked a steak and I did a great job.
I have a free.
If I don't say so myself.
I have a free idea for you. Because the learning curve for cooking is so steep, and it is pretty daunting, I think, for most people that are single. You need to start the Barstool Nate cooking channel and just go from scratch. You know, go from boiling an egg, and then at the end of the day, we're gonna see you make a quiche or something.
We've been joking about this. We have so many like people who cook and make cooking videos on the website. We have like 7 different cooking shows at this point that we're basically just like, since sports are gone, we're just like a cooking show now. We're just a cooking network with all these different people doing. And then we have like people who just drink alcohol all the time, do alcohol taste tests. Like we're basically like the dumbed down version of the Food Network.
What is your favorite meal, Nate? Just give me something. What is your absolute no-brainer favorite meal? If you could prepare it, what would you prepare?
Favorite meal? I don't know, man. Well, that's an oxymoron. My favorite meal I would not prepare. There's nothing I like doing less than doing stuff. I'd rather do nothing than do something. So my favorite meal cannot be something I prepare. Honestly, I've had a few favorite meals, if that makes sense. Sen of Japan, I thought it was like some of the best food I've ever eaten out in Vegas.
Okay, so
was that
sushi?
Sushi.
You're a sushi.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go fishing and make my own sushi. That's the thing.
I sort of start seeing here like a little bit of a theme here with regards to being single and not being able to prepare many meals. If a girl wants to come over for the very first time, she's going to get M&Ms and chicken.
If a girl's coming over for the first time, it's already too late for her. I'll tell you that. She knows what. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant she knows what she's getting into if she's coming over to Barstool Nate's apartment. She's not getting a 4-course meal. That's not who I am. So I'm not that worried about it.
We got.
I have a situation. Another question, Nate. Tell me about the toilet paper scenario inside your apartment. How are you? Okay? Are you running low?
That's a very old person thing of you to ask me, and I appreciate that. You are old, yeah. I have toilet paper. I haven't run out. Probably have like 6 rolls. I can go get it if you want. I have a decent amount. I'm low on this is my paper towels. I'm basically out of paper towels, but I'm all right with toilet paper. I'll be all right. I'll be wiping for a while.
I'm worried about you. That's all, Nate. I'm hearing, how you're pretty much unable to do anything for yourself, and I just want to make sure that you can at least wipe your own ass.
Yeah, I mean, you're better at it when you've done it. Those times that you did it when I stayed at your house and slept in your bed in Vegas, I thought you were great at it.
Yeah,
the best. We were touching spots that I didn't even know existed up there.
The best part is that Brent is such a dad that he wants to know if we're okay, if we have enough toilet paper. It's just terrific. A few people in the chat also, if you're.
Yeah,
I'm just going to talk
fine.
over.
Mike, and in the chat, he's wondering if you're wearing a hospital robe. So clearly, you're just fine.
Yeah, I'm just fine. I'm wearing actually a shirt that I thought would look better than just black because it's like a black hole when you wear it on camera. Nate also got the memo wearing white, which is also good. Brent, of course, is the black hole on this podcast, so it makes total sense. For people who are watching right now, let us know in the chat if you have any questions for Nate, if anything else is going on. People are saying you look like a Unabomber, so please put the hood on to really give extra validity to that. See, there you go. Now it's really fitting in some kind of special way. Let's move into a big topic. We have a very big topic to discuss. The World Series of Poker. The 2020 World Series of Poker right now is still on the calendar. Nate, let's start with this. If nothing changes, and if they leave it on the calendar, are you coming to Vegas no matter what?
It's so funny, man. Like, the freaking Olympics canceled. Wimbledon canceled. Every event in the world canceled. WSOP refuses to cancel, and I love it. I don't know why they're pressing it. It literally, there could not be a less safe event to be held than a poker tournament where everybody from every country in the world is crammed into a tiny place. There was like the measles outbreak a couple years ago at the Rio, and that's when everybody was healthy. And it still happened. What was it? Not measles.
It was
water. Yeah, not the measles.
No, it
What
was
was it?
Lagoons.
no, it was
like that?
Legionnaire's disease.
Yeah, Legionnaire's disease. Yeah, polio, I believe it was. So, the Rio is so gross. Everybody, like, who hasn't been at a table where guys are just sneezing into their hands and then touching the chips, touching the cards? Poker is the last thing anybody should be doing right now. Never mind all crammed into one hotel in Vegas where strippers just have God knows what dripping out of them at any given time, and then people just come straight to the casino after touching that, and it's just. But to answer your question, if WSOP is still running, I have no choice but to come out and defend my crown in the Big 50. I have no choice. My hands will be tied. I must defend my crown in the Big 50.
I love
There you
that.
have it, Rump.
Yeah, that's the type of determination that we really need. And now let's switch to reality. Do you think World Series Poker is going to get moved to October? They must be working on some kind of plan. Like you said, Olympics are already moved to next year. Or do you think they might can the whole thing? Are we going to get a winter edition, which I would not be against in any sort of way? What do you think they're going to do, and what do you hope they're going to do?
It will be, postponed at the bare minimum. Like, it's not going to start on time. Like, that's 0.0% chance it starts on time. So we know that for sure. It just depends. I think they're going to take the pulse of where we're at come fall time. It just depends on what you read and what you want to believe and how careful you want to be. So if we're given the all clear, let's use October just as a benchmark. We're given the all clear in October. It's okay to go out to restaurants, bars, casinos, whatever. Everything's open. What that doesn't mean, though, is that coronavirus is cured and that it can't have another outbreak, which is the biggest worry for WSOP, where you can't test everybody walking into a casino. It's just impossible. It's literally impossible to do. So you have to balance the risk of, if we run this and one person comes that has it and hasn't been tested, what are the chances they now give it to everybody at the WSOP? And that's a question well above my pay grade that I have no idea how to even begin to answer. But like MLB, they've reached an agreement where they were like, we're not going to play until it's safe for the fans to come into the stadium. And I was reading some doctor was basically saying, we won't have that guarantee in the next 2 years, that out of 50,000 people crammed into one tiny space, that one of those 50,000 people isn't carrying it. Like, we just will not have that guarantee. So it really leaves these leagues and WSOP and just, movie theater. It leaves everybody up, I guess, to their own discretion. I don't know. But winter is a possibility. I wouldn't mind getting out to Vegas in winter. I think at that point, come December or whatever, I would feel more comfortable with it. Let me ask you. I don't know.
Let me ask you this: if you are guaranteed to get coronavirus at the World Series of Poker, what does the payout need to be in the Big 50 for you to be like, okay, I'll sign for that?
You're not guaranteeing I go back to back. You're just guaranteeing that I get it.
You're going to get the virus no matter what. So what payout return is enough for you to take the virus home?
That's the thing. Like, I don't want to make light of it because, like, a lot of people are, like, suffering this and that. But, like, I know that I have a very low likelihood of actually dying from it. But if I'm not guaranteed any money, I also don't want to put myself in the situation. I don't know. I would have to really – that's not a bad question. Like, if I was free-rolled into the main event but I knew that I was going to get coronavirus, but also I'm like a 99.9% favorite to survive that. I don't know.
That's the reason I ask. That's the reason I ask it too, because Brent, you can probably speak to this as well. Everyone has to weigh those options for themselves, no matter what they move this to. If they move it to August, or if they move it to December, or if they move it to like January, everyone, no matter when they move it or what time they move it to, is going to weigh that decision. What kind of payout am I chasing for it to be worth the chance that I get this virus?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, especially after hearing Dr. Fauci, who's pretty much, like everyone that listens to this guy and takes seriously that we see him on television, he totally expects another outbreak to happen this fall and winter. So I'm not really thrilled about packing in the Rio anytime soon, which leads me to this, which I am very comfortable with. Let's assume the World Series of Poker has some sort of online play, right? Where you're able to play a bunch of events online, a heavy load, a heavy volume. Nate, would you go to New Jersey to get set up? And if you did go to New Jersey, who are you staying with?
So let me tell you, I'll answer that question by touching on something else first. New York City is full of idiots. I live in the dumbest place in the world. They bring in a military boat hospital yesterday, like the U.S. Comfort or whatever it's called, and people flock to the streets to take pictures of the floating hospital that we literally need in New York because these idiots flock to the street to take pictures of the hospital. I went crazy. I lost my mind yesterday. I was like, first, also, we still have Greyhound buses running in and out of the city, taking people everywhere else. The Amtrak train is still running up and down the East Coast. We aren't doing much to stop the spread. We're being told not to go out still. Like, nothing's changed in 2.5, 3 weeks, besides like bars and that stuff have closed. But New York, we're the epicenter of the disease, and people are still taking it everywhere they're going. And so I don't think, and this is going to kill me, when they run a huge WSOP online that you can play in New Jersey and Nevada and Delaware, I'm not going to be able to play it. I'm not, at that point, it's going to be so bad that I'm going to be stuck in New York, and there's going to be, I don't think I'm going to have an option. I hope it doesn't get to that point, but the way it's looking now, with how dumb everybody in fucking New York is, it's looking like I'm not going to be able to get to New Jersey. And if I do somehow get there, I would just stay in like, I don't know, Holiday Inn or something. I don't know, but that's a long time from now. I'm just so annoyed by how dumb everybody in New York City are. So,
man,
sorry. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. I'm so frustrated.
This is a therapy session. We're here for you. We're here to listen.
Because like I feel like I'm doing my part, and basically everybody I know is doing their part, and it's killing us. Literally sitting inside 24 hours a day, not going out, not seeing friends, not doing anything that we like. It's just we're doing our part by sitting on the couch, which, thank God, is not the hardest task. It is not a hard ask. Hey, all you got to do to save lives is watch TV. Sign me up, not complaining. But when I see other people who literally think they're smarter than the doctors and the scientists and the mathematicians and every smart person in the world saying, guys, you got to stay home. And they're like, nah, not a big deal. I can still go out. Nah, it's overblown. This thing's fake. It's just the common cold. It's just the flu. That's when I get angry. Because, like, you're not smarter than these people. They know what they're talking about. You don't. You're not. You're just, it just drives me up the freaking wall. So I get so mad.
What are people going out and doing with everything closed? I mean, what, just walking around, hanging out in groups on the street?
Dude, they do, like, it's the people who, since everybody works from home now, well, I don't got to go into work tomorrow. We can have, like they're having like wine and pizza night. And, it's a lot of girls who are just like having like wine nights and, watching Netflix together and all. And I'm still seeing it on my Instagram stories and stuff like that. People just going over each other's houses, drinking together. I'm like, what in the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, for a month, just sit on your couch. It's not that hard to do, but it's really like 19-year-old. It's college kids up to like 23 years old. And then it's the old people. It's like the 55 plus retired people who just, I'm not going to change the way I live my life. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing. Old people do not care at all. Go to the grocery store, dude. Old people are basically licking each other. They just don't care. Old people could not care less about staying home. They're just so bored that they have nothing else to do.
Start leaving the house to begin with. That's what I'm so confused about. Now all of a sudden it's like, hey, let's go party.
Yeah, people think they're smarter than everybody else, so they do the opposite of what they're told. I will never understand the logic.
Let me jump in here. What would 19-year-old Nate have done in the quarantine?
Can we go back to 2006, 2007?
I mean, I guess.
I play a ton of online poker.
But
nothing's changed. 19 to 31. My life has not changed.
So basically, if it were to happen, if you were 19 right now, you would have been equally bored out of your mind. Would you have put yourself back in that perspective? Would you have been able to adhere to all these new policies, or would you also have been more reckless?
No, I'm not an idiot. I always do the research for myself, and I make sure that what we're being told is correct. I can say with 100% certainty, this is not overblown. We should be staying home, and anybody who disagrees is just an asshole.
All right. Pivoting into a new topic, Brent. This is something that you messaged me this morning. You said, I have a take on this. I want to talk about this. So obviously...
Is it about your bike in the background?
No, but it's a beautiful bike. If Canyon wants to sponsor this podcast, please hit me up. But Brent, we released a new show last Friday, voiced by the wonderful Jeff Platt, called The Championship Run, in which we show 5 hands that brought Chris Moneymaker the championship back in 2003. So 5 iconic moments that I love to relive. And if you're watching this right now, know that you can find this on PokerGO. The Championship Run has those moments that you have been craving. And then the hand in question is the hand versus Phil Ivey, where Moneymaker, of course, rivers a bigger full house and sends Ivey wearing the Francis jersey to the rail. Iconic poker moment. If poker had a Hall of Fame of moments, this would be one of those moments. And my response to that moment is that moment was the most important river card in poker history because it set up Moneymaker to win the 03 main event that catapulted us into now. We are now, 16, 17 years later, doing this podcast about poker. So that is sort of the runway for this segment, Brent. And now you said to me, I have a take on this. I disagree with this. So I'm very curious to hear. And then Nate, I want you to figure this out with Brent because I'm pretty sure that I'm on the other side of this.
Let me begin by saying I think that Chris Moneymaker is a tremendous asset to the entire industry. He's a great ambassador, and I am thrilled with how everything unfolded. The Moneymaker effect is real. However, if that river card had been a brick, and if Phil Ivey had taken an overwhelming chip lead and Moneymaker packed his bags and he was out in 10th place, and Phil Ivey defeated Sammy Farha heads up to win the main event, the Ivey effect would have been tenfold greater for this entire industry.
Shut the fuck up, Brent. You're an idiot. Wait, Remco, can we kick him off the podcast? I'm not joking.
We could.
We need to... Brent, apologize for what you just said.
The Ivey effect would have been larger, greater, and more significant. The Moneymaker story would still have been a story. In fact, I think we should call it really the Eskandani effect. You've got your villain in Sammy Farha. By the way, no one talks about Sammy Farha enough. Sammy Farha, with the cigarette dangling out of the mouth, is your perfect villain. Your perfect, the guy that has to lose. And I'm saying that if Phil Ivey beat Sammy Farha heads up as the ultimate hero for this game and continued down the path, the legacy of Ivey, which he's already iconic. He's already going to be the greatest person ever. Ivey would have had a larger and greater impact on this entire industry. That's my take.
Nate, the floor is yours.
Remco, the fact that you have to do a show with this moron every week blows my mind. What he just said is without a doubt the dumbest thing ever spoken into a microphone. I honestly do not think Brent actually believes that. I think he's playing devil's advocate because I think Brent is a smart person and any smart person would not actually believe that. So I do think he's playing devil's advocate. That being said, to his point that for the sake of the show, we're going to pretend he actually believes. I mean, I don't...
I've yet to hear like a why out of you. Just
let me.
Okay. Let me go. I got it.
Okay.
We know the Moneymaker story, and I agree with you. He's the nicest person I've ever had on the podcast. He's funny. He's humble. He's down to earth. He seems like, I've never met him. He seems like the greatest human being in the world. People always ask, who's one guy you want to play poker with that you've never played with? Chris Moneymaker. No question about it. He was the accountant from Tennessee. He got in the $27 satellite. He had the last name Moneymaker. He looks like every guy from the Midwest that you've ever met. He was the absolute perfect person to start the poker boom. And the fact that he qualified on PokerStars is the most under-talked about part of it because people then realized PokerStars is a legitimate site. We can qualify for the World Series of Poker main event on it. And that sparked the internet boom to me. Not only the poker boom, but the fact that Ivey then did the Full Tilt thing. Moneymaker, the face of PokerStars. And now we have WWE, WCW, Full Tilt, PokerStars. That's the most important part of this entire thing is, and also Moneymaker said that when he was at the final table, he asked for equity in PokerStars and they turned him down and they gave him like $3,000 instead. And he's like, all right, I guess. And so it's like he really went for the moon and he got a buffet coupon instead. I respect him asking for equity and have the wherewithal back in that time to ask for equity in like a up and coming poker site. Really, really smart. But no, Ivey was already established when he finished 10th. That's the thing. Like he probably had $5 million on sports betting at that time. He is not the guy who's ever going to be the face of anything. He cares about making money and that's it. He doesn't care about going on, the David Letterman show. Moneymaker went on the David Letterman show a week after that main event. Ivey would have just said no. He doesn't care about that kind of thing.
I don't think any of that's true. And also, 2003, Ivey was not established as the greatest player in the world. He did not have his legacy when he was wearing the Steve Francis jersey. None of that's true. And what you're missing, yes, I totally agree. Chris Moneymaker, the common man, the accountant from Tennessee, he's got his debt to his bookie, everything we can relate to. But we're not thinking about the other people that would have seen Phil Ivey win the main event, the largest, grandest stage on ESPN at the time. You're trying to tell me that Stuart Scott during his prime wasn't going to go nuts with that story? I totally disagree with that, and I think we're forgetting about all the other folks that would have come along for the journey and come along for the ride with poker. I think it would have been, if not equally, but much greater and more significant for the industry if Phil Ivey would have won the main event that year. The Moneymaker story doesn't necessarily change. You can still put that narrative together, and that's what ESPN and Poker Productions and Maury Escandani's team so well with miking up his dad and his mom in the crowd.
Let me cut you off.
Is he bluffing here?
A pro winning a poker tournament does not have the same effect as an amateur winning a poker tournament to the amateur crowd. When Moneymaker won as an amateur, it meant, oh, he won. That means I can win. I'm going to go put $50 on PokerStars. When you see a pro win, all you're thinking is, well, I guess I can't beat the pros. Why would I even try? Moneymaker hitting that river and being the amateur that took down the pros is so much more important than anything has ever happened in poker.
I will not disagree with that point. I think an amateur winning the main event is tremendous and great news. It continues to happen. Jerry Yang, Darvin Moon got second, but Dennis Phillips, the trucker, this is going to continue to happen. That doesn't change the industry. That doesn't make it greater. Yes, it's a great narrative. It's a story we can continue to tell. I mean, but all that is inevitable. Right. Phil Ivey, the icon, we've never had the icon win the greatest tournament of all time on ESPN during the boom on the rise, which, by the way, the internet boom was inevitable. That was going to happen.
So what you're saying, Brent, is that Greg Raymer, who won the following year, would have been the moneymaker in that sort of context if Ivey just would have ended up winning in 2003. I really, really disagree with this take, Brent, because what I think is one of the crucial things to remember here is that Moneymaker boosted the platform and all the personalities that were already in the game to such incredible heights because of his victory and because of how relatable he made the game of poker that it's impossible to say what would have happened if Ivey would have been that guy, because like Nate was saying, that if Ivey wins the main event, it is a professional winning the main event, and sure, poker would have kept on growing because of the access to online poker. I don't doubt that for a second. I do think, though, that this anchor point of Moneymaker winning the main event is crucial to Ivey's status in the game, because Ivey then showed off in every single tournament all around the World Poker Tour booming and all these other events going on, that he was indeed the best in the world. That narrative doesn't change whether he wins the main event or not. Ivey is going to be a superstar no matter what. I think that the crucial moment in time is the fact that Moneymaker was there to give everyone else the platform that poker turned into. So I think that Moneymaker was indeed crucial to winning it in that moment in time against that lineup, against Semi Farha. All these characters feel as though they were cast for these roles, and the way it played out feels like a movie, and I can watch that movie time and time again because the 2003 main event final table remains to be the one most iconic broadcast in poker history.
We can also thank, again, I call it the Eskandani effect. We can thank all of Maury's team. They set the tone, and Nate's best friend, Norman Chad, and Lon McCarron, they told those stories. This wasn't live. This was all post-produced and edited. You could create a narrative, and that's exactly what they did throughout the entire event. And I'm looking at chat right now. I'm very curious. Mike Chan, he tends to maybe agree with me. Bonnie takes the amateur side, to your point. Nate, to your point. Remco, you guys in chat, let us know. What do you think? If Ivey had won that hand and won the main event, would that have made a difference in poker, lesser or greater than the moneymaker effect? I just think that there's certainly a case to be made there. The more I think about it, I wonder, would it have been such a bad thing if the Michael Jordan of poker had been established right then and there and won the main event?
I think it would have been way more important had he not folded that flush and he won when he final tabled it again. I don't even remember what year that was. It seems like it was yesterday, but it was probably a decade ago at this point.
I think it was 2010.
It was a decade ago, yeah. So he was on Ivey was on the cover of ESPN, the magazine, when he final tabled that year. He did the November 9. He had the hype train all behind him, and it didn't, Brent, again, against your point, it didn't really do anything. I don't think anybody really got a much higher. What?
He didn't win. No one's watching. The average Joe and casual fan, isn't just watching the entire stream. They want to see him become a champion. If he had become a champion, that's the difference maker. He was on ESPN, the magazine. There's a reason they put him there. Imagine if he won.
Funny side note.
Because at that point, he was established as like Phil Ivey, the Tiger Woods of poker. They were trying to build a story around him. But if you remember leading up to that, he was known as the guy who did zero media, zero press. It was always, where's Phil Ivey? That was always the headline. What's Phil Ivey up to? Because nobody knew where he was, what he was doing. Nobody knew anything about this guy. He's not the guy you want as the face of poker. The guy who refuses to talk to anybody in poker is not the guy to lead the charge in poker. The whole ESPN thing was because literally people only knew that he was the best, but knew nothing. He didn't put himself out there. He was hidden for 5 years.
That's what makes so great. And it's not true that he doesn't do anything. Didn't he do the 60 Minutes, for crying out loud?
I mean,
all in that same time.
Right. He's done stuff.
But one event, the main event, that's the only event that anyone in the world gives a shit about. If you're outside of poker, that's the one.
It's a big 50.
Most people think the World Series of Poker is one tournament. That's it. If Phil Ivey won it, I guarantee you, I promise you, it would have been different. It would have been very different.
Mike Chan in the chat says, me and my friends never wanted to be like Moneymaker. We wanted to be like Ivey. But it was Chris Moneymaker. That provided you with the thought of wanting to be like Phil Ivey.
Yes.
Was there anyone that was going to win that final table? It was the perfect storm. It was the absolute recipe for success for the entire online poker and poker industry as a whole. Jason Lester could have won it. We would have found a narrative. We would have found a great story. Dan Harrington with his flat brim Boston hat, he could have won it. We would have found a great story. The online boom, this industry was going to take off. Poker stars, all party poker, everything was there in the right place at the right time. Online poker was inevitable. By the way, Nate, you said something earlier that Poker Stars, this legal story, it was the same then as ACR is now. It was legal to play and illegal to operate.
Yeah, that's why we don't play on it anymore.
Exactly. All right. This is a great topic. I love discussing this. Let us know in the comments, if you're catching this on demand at a later point, who you think made a bigger impact. Was it Chris Moneymaker and the way things ran out the way they did, or would have things been bigger if Phil Ivey would have won the main event?
You know what's also funny is the very next year, Greg Raymer wears the glasses and he wins it, and that kind of re-sparked kind of a boom again, because he was such like why is this guy on TV wearing these outrageous glasses? And he wasn't even, you know how people do bits to try to get on TV, like the guy always barks like the dog, or William Kassouf does his whole dog and pony show. Greg Raymer just wore those glasses unironically, and then he wins the main event, and he kind of like reignites the whole boom all over again. And there's one other guy I always think about where I was like, this guy could have been like a Moneymaker effect guy as well. Steve Dannenman, I think he finished third. He's just like this tall guy. Second. He drinks a ton of beer. He's very chatty at the table. He's just an everyday bro who he finished second. And I always thought he was extremely funny and very likable. but I don't really know what he does now.
I want to chime in real quick. Maury Escandani is in the chat with us. What up, Maury?
Hello, Maury. Put me on TV, please.
He said the best case scenario would have been Moneymaker first and Ivy second. So, yeah, that would have been a perfect world.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
David versus Goliath. Yeah.
I think Sammy Farha, the best villain with the cigarette. I mean, that's like out of a Bond movie, with the cigarettes dangling out of the mouth. The Sammy Farha's story is one that I think is undersold. I'd like to know more about that. But yeah, I don't mean to cause a ruckus. I just think it's very interesting to think about. If Phil Ivey had won the main event that year.
I agree.
We don't.
Let's also not forget, to Brent's point, that Sammy Farha finishing second in the main event led to him becoming a star. And on high-stakes poker, all those iconic hands that you can now watch on PokerGo, obviously, because that's all going to be on PokerGo right now, and you can watch the first 2 seasons already. Sammy Farha's legacy started with that second place and turned into him being one of the fan favorites for many, many years to come. One final thing I want to say about this main event run. We had the 4-year run of a lifetime. Chris Moneymaker, Greg Raymer, Joe Hashem, and Jamie Gold. Those 4 in a row, you could not think of any more perfect 4 in a row for that thing, right?
Yeah. All you're missing is like a Negreanu.
Yeah. Well, you're right. Danny Negreanu, think about, oh my God, we missed out on him at the main event final table of the year that Joe McKeon eliminated him on the bubble. That was another moment for this industry that we needed so badly, which stands to my Ivy point. Mike Chan also in the chat said, and I'll repeat this, nobody looks at Chris Moneymaker and says, I want to be like him. Nobody looks at Jamie Gold and says, like, I want to be like Jamie Gold when I play poker or Darvin Moon, right? We still point at like Ivy and say,
that is wrong. That is wrong. Every Midwest guy who plays a $25 home game with their friends wants to be Chris Moneymaker. You want to be the common guy, the common man who makes it big. I don't want to be the rich guy who's getting richer. I want to be me playing PokerStars from my couch who strikes it big and remains humble, still has his family in Memphis. I don't want to be at the Ritz-Carlton in Vegas. I want to be in my log cabin in Missouri.
So you prefer and aspire to be a minor league baseball player as opposed to being
Brent,
Mike Trout.
Brent, you're seeing this wrong. What we want to be the minor league baseball player who gets called up to the World Series and hits a walk-off home run. That's what we want to be.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I totally get that. But you can't tell me that when the guy sits at the table, he says, all right, I want to have a story like Chris Moneymaker, but I want to be Phil Ivey.
Yep. And you're discrediting Chris Moneymaker, you son of a bitch. He's still a really good player. He's still winning stuff.
I love Chris. All right. Yes,
it doesn't sound like it.
Okay, we're going to button this one up, and shout out to Maury Escandani in the chat. He's saying Matt Moran's of 411 Productions was the producer of the year that Moneymaker won. We have to give credit where credit is due. Of course, Maury involved with high-stakes poker from the very first hand that was dealt, but he got involved with the World Series of Poker a few years later.
And if Maury's looking for new people to put on television, hi, what's up?
Empty your pockets, Nate. How much are we sitting down with?
Dude, here's my wallet. I have the receipt from my laundry and a $2 bill that some guy from Sweden gave to me 3 WSOP main events ago. He said, this is your lucky $2 bill. And then I bubbled the main event.
Wow, and you kept it. That's great. Wow, it's gonna be incredible. For the people watching who are now fired up to watch more poker, know that the championship run is on PokerGo, and also season 1 and season 2 of High Stakes Poker are now on PokerGo. Season 3 being released on Monday, and we have a hand of the week on our YouTube channel every single week.
Can you watch that for free on PokerGo, or do you have to pay?
We have 30 days for free if you use the promo code WatchParty. Until April 30th, you can watch PokerGo for free. So Watch Party is the promo code. Thanks, Nate, for the layup. That was terrific. That was really, really spot on. That was
Lob City.
Oh my God, company man.
Company man. Definitely company man. We got a few more fun things here to do on the show. We have Snap Call, which is Brent Hanks' favorite segment. We have 555 questions. But also what I want to know, and this is a point of contention because I'm, of course, the bicycle man right here. How is the fundraising going for your Peloton?
Yeah. So, as I said at the beginning of the show, I don't get any exercise. I've gone for one walk where I ate 6 cookies, and that's the extent of my exercise in the last month. So I decided I wanted a Peloton. Now, unfortunately, Pelotons cost a decent chunk of change, and number 2, I have no space in my apartment besides the space between my TV and my couch to put a Peloton. So I tried to sell pieces of my Peloton. I was trying to, as if it was a poker tournament where the investor gets nothing back, but I get a Peloton. So shockingly, I have not sold any percentages of my Peloton summer package.
Okay, well, Brent has a Peloton. Brent, have you used it more or less than 3 times since the quarantine started?
I have not used it one single time. My
You
wife.
fat fuck.
Oh yeah, I'm real. You know what's weird? I've lost like 10 pounds.
What?
Isn't
You
it?
doing
Isn't
coke?
it? Yeah, I've lost 10 pounds. No, you know what it is? Because when I go to work, I haven't done any of that. I don't go to Chipotle for every lunch break. I don't go twice sometimes. I'm not getting the chips and guac. I'm literally just at home chasing my kids, doing a little bit of work whenever I've got something to do. And I'm not sitting around eating. I think I must eat more at work. I mean, I feel great. I'm in peak shape.
I'm the opposite. I get bored, so I walk to the fridge. Dude, sometimes I'll like just grab the bottle of ranch, take the top off, and just grab a fingerful of ranch dressing.
Oh, Jesus. Oh no.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. In case you were wondering where I'm at eat ranch stage of quarantine.
For me, it's funny. The first week and a half, I was on point, working out, eating healthy, all that stuff. And then Amazon Fresh came into my life, and I may or may not have ordered a stupid amount of chips and popcorn and a bunch of other stuff. Dark chocolate covered almonds. You can't really stop once you start eating those.
Yeah.
I have so much food in my house right now. I made a gallon of pasta sauce from scratch, and my pasta sauce to pasta ratio is out of control. It is just absolutely tremendous. So basically, I was really good. Lost 10 pounds, put it all back on, and now I just have to ride my bike as much as possible to get rid of this weight again. But it's been a roller coaster, and I think I can speak for most people that are watching this right now that this quarantine, if anything, has been a complete roller coaster. That's sort of the emotional thing that we're going through. All right, let's play a game. The game is called 555 Questions. This is as simple as it sounds. I have a list of 555 questions. Nate, you get to pick 3 numbers from the list, and then I'm going to ask you the corresponding question. We have no idea what these questions are because the list is way too long for me to get into. So let's start with your first number, and let's see where this goes.
My first number is 73.
All right, let me scroll up to 73. 73. Oh, this is tremendous. And I'm not making this up. How long was your most serious relationship, and why did it end?
How long was my most serious relationship, and how did it end? I guess you could say like 2 years, but kind of like on and off in there. I wouldn't be able to tell you how long straight through. I had like a high school girlfriend, and then I've had a couple in New York, with the longest being 1 to 2 years, somewhere in there. I don't really know. Why did it end? Because I'm a blogger, and I work all the time, and I don't know. Work comes first.
Oh, that's incredible. All right, give me another number.
Wait, back to what you're saying about food, just real quick.
Yeah,
I have found something important is I'm just not buying pasta or bread. So like I'm eating candy and stuff like that. But I thought that if I just didn't buy any bread or pasta, or so I can't make mac and cheese and stuff like that, I think that's how I'm going to survive and not get 500 pounds, is just completely cutting out carbs, unless I'm eating cookies. Like I'm eating cookies like you wouldn't believe. Like if a cookie is within 20 feet of me, it's not safe at any time. I'm just demolishing cookies. Second number is 494.
494. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to 494, and while I do that, I'm going to just let everyone know who is watching this right now. If you see a $1 charge for your free watch party promo code PokerGO, that charge is going to disappear after a few days. That is just to make sure that you are a real person. So don't be worried about that $1 you're missing out on. And if that $1 is somehow still stuck on your thing, let me know, and we'll figure it out. And otherwise, I'll give you $1. And I think Nate will also...
Carrie Katz confirmed Busto. Wow.
And I'm sure Nate will give you $1 too if you see him at the World Series of Poker. Here's another deep one. Do you get along well with your family?
What kind of fucking question is this?
Jesus, Remco. This is supposed
Go
to be
down to 493.
Okay, 493. What do you think your future personal family life will look like? Kids, what's going to happen? Do you want kids?
Okay, so I actually don't mind this question. The idea of kids is great. It's like, oh, look, they're so cute. You're raising a little family. Everybody I know that has kids, including Brent, just they're crazy. That like kids just absolutely wreck your life. You no longer have a life anymore. All you're doing is just cleaning up shit, and they're so annoying, and they're just like running around coloring on the walls. I don't know anybody, like everybody loves their kids, but nobody's like, whew, certainly glad that I get to go home to my kids now. Like kids until they're like 18, 19 are just menaces to society, and then you're just, you're trying to figure out how this kid's going to pay for college and stuff. So I like the idea of kids when I'm not in New York, when I'm like where I want to be, and if the stock market goes back up and I have some money, because right now confirmed busto in the stock market, boy, did that suck the last couple of weeks. But no, I like the idea of it. Brent, persuade me or dissuade me.
Kids are awesome. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff you're saying is true, but I mean, you fall in love with that stuff. Yeah. They're. I want to come home every single day. In fact, if it's like a long poker day, right? Sometimes poker can be very painful, Nate, as you know. The streams, the grind. Sometimes it doesn't end well. I'll start to daydream and drift, thinking, God, I can't wait to just get home. I hope I get home in time, or I bust this in time so I can see my kids before they go to bed.
That's nice.
Wow.
But that's honest to God. Like that is not what I would have seen or thought of myself. I remember telling my mother, God bless my mother. I told my mother when I was 26 years old, after I moved to Las Vegas, that, Mom, the Hanks family name ends here. I will not have any children. Can you imagine how heartbroken she probably was hearing that? I was dead serious at the time. And then what do you know? Something happened. I grew up a little bit. I fell in love with a woman, and now I've got 2 kids, and I can't believe that I even said those words. I would be devastated as a parent to hear that, and it makes I'm an asshole. I am an asshole. No doubt about it.
The funny
awesome. You should have kids. You have no idea what you're missing out. Kids are the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
The funniest thing that's going to happen, Brent, is that let's say 15 years from now, I'm going to clip a highlight reel from all our podcasts and send them to your kids so they can hear back what their dad said, all the things about them back in the day.
That's what's scary about being public and doing like a podcast. That this shit lives forever. It's not going anywhere. You got to be careful what comes out of your mouth.
Oh, yeah.
We have Nate on the podcast. It's probably the best example of this.
Oh, yeah.
But Nate's been living the public life for a long time. Between his blogs and his rooftop Periscope streaming is what he's doing right now. Yeah, he's. But you know all this, Nate.
Yeah, there's not much about me that's not public at this point.
Well, we're going to try. If you give me the third number, we might learn something new.
I feel good about 222. 222.
Nice. Dude,
I feel pretty.
We've had this question before on a show, and it was pretty bad. But I can ask you anyway, and you can move on if you want to, because this is an existential question. Do you believe in extraterrestrial life? Elaborate on why, yes or no.
Oh, I mean, yeah, obviously there's aliens. What, we think we're so special that out of the galaxy that literally never ends, that it's impossible to know how big it is. It's light years upon light years big. You think we're the only alive things in the entire universe? You'd have to be on crack to think that we're that special.
Right.
Yeah, of course there's other life.
Liv Barry had this question last week.
Yeah, it's really funny. 222 is probably the only question on this entire list that's been asked multiple times, which is kind of
balance. It's the Ducks, baby. I'm telling you, that's all it is. People
what
love.
What did Liv say?
Oh, Liv had a very good 7-minute monologue about the hows and whys of how this could happen and why we'll get to it.
But that being said, Liv said in our universe that she doesn't really think there's any life out there, and that not to say there's not like bacterial life, but functioning life as sophisticated as us.
I don't know, man, because anytime you watch one of those YouTube videos where it's like, how big is the universe? They're like, we're one solar system, and there's just like trillions of other solar systems out there, and all you need is one planet to have. They might not look like us, of course.
No, and that's to her point too. She said in our solar system, in the universe that we know, that it's unlikely. I mean, and she gave a great example. Day and age of cell phones, we got cameras on our phones. How about what happened to all the UFO sightings? We read about them. Roswell. Oh yeah. How about now? All of a sudden we have cameras everywhere we go. And we can't fucking find any.
Well, aliens have kind of been taking notice of what we're doing on Earth, and we're not worth their time. That would also, I equate it to like, all right, say like there's an anthill, and there's like billions of ants. There are definitely ants out there that have never seen a human. We are those ants. Like, there are ants that have seen humans, and they're like, look, I told you it was true. I told you that the humans were real. But then there's other ants who have literally never seen a human. They're like, all right, buddy, I'm sure. And they're just playing in the dirt. They're like 20 feet underground. They're all digging in the dirt and stuff. And they don't know that we're up here. So that could be us. We could just be like the ants that have never seen the aliens. And then there are people who have seen the aliens. They're like, I swear. And they're like, all right, pal.
So that basically what you're saying is that all the mice and rats that are being born in the Barstool office are now growing up thinking that they are ruling this world, and then their mom and dads are saying like, no, wait, there's these big people that come in here and they yell at each other and they just like drink beer all the time.
Exactly. It's pretty close to that. I do think it's also alien life is so like they're so much more advanced than us. Like they look at us and they're like, you guys know you have the sun, right? Like the hottest star of all time. You guys know you have that, but you're still like shoveling coal into a furnace. Like, what are you doing, you idiots? So they don't respect us. Like aliens, like who can like time travel and they can evaporate themselves and show up somewhere else. I couldn't think of what that was called, but they look at us and they're just like, what are these idiots doing? Like, we still have like sword fights like it's like the freaking 1400s. Like, we're so unadvanced that aliens, we're not even worth their time. There's like, no, we're just gonna go be aliens in Alienville and leave these weirdo humans to just kill each other and go take pictures of a boat because they're so stupid that they're giving each other this freaking disease when all they have to do is sit home and watch Netflix, and they refuse to sit home and watch Netflix. We gave them Netflix. We're like, all right, we'll give you guys Netflix. Maybe we'll see if you guys can use it. And we can't even use Netflix right because we're a bunch of idiot earthlings.
All right, Brent.
I love question 222.
Yeah, 222 is a very inspiring question. All right, Brent, take it away with a snap call, which I'm sure is going to have some interesting twists to it.
Okay, Nate, you're familiar with word association?
I'm familiar, yeah.
Okay, so this is word association. I'm going to give you 5 names. I guarantee you know who all 5 of these names are. And as quickly as you possibly can, you have to give us the word association for a poker player or somebody in the poker space. Okay? You ready?
I feel I know where this is going. Go on.
Okay. Number 1, Big Cat.
Big Cat?
Yeah, Big Cat.
I thought you said poker.
Yeah, you're going to give me a poker player that would be Big Cat.
Oh, Amir Vahidi.
Amir Vahidi. Okay. Very nice. Little throwback there. Number 2, Marty Mush.
You thought that one guy looked like Marty Mush, and then you kept texting me, so I pretended to agree with you, and I can't remember who it was, but it was at the South American Championship event. You kept saying this guy looked like Marty Mush, and he didn't look like him.
I forget who it was, but I see what you're doing. So for word association, you're just going based off exact physical looks. Okay. Marty Mush. Yeah, no, I don't know who that was. I don't remember the name, which means you're going to have to come up with somebody right now.
I'm trying to think of a New York player. God, I don't know. I don't got another. I got the guy who you said looked like Marty Mush who didn't look like Marty Mush. Oh, okay, fine then. Marty Mathis, because Marty was also at that table with that guy who you thought looked like him. So now I associate Marty Mush with Marty Mathis. So
that's a great answer. Same first name. So I'm all right with it. I'm totally fine.
Lipo Fund online.
Yeah. Shout out Marty Mathis, Lipo Fund. Okay. Number 3, PFT.
Another one of my coworkers, PFT, Greg Raymer. They both don't have eyes. They just wear sunglasses at all times. Also, both have been. No, I was going to go down a road I don't want to go down.
Oh boy! All right. Okay. I wish we had gone there. Number 4, Dave Portnoy.
Dave is Phil Hellmuth through and through. Just ego the size of the world somehow still wins despite everything saying that they shouldn't win, and just does not care about what anybody else in the field says, just does his own thing. The last time I saw Phil Hellmuth, he was the MC at a charity event that I was at in DC at National Harbor to raise money for pediatric cancer. I am setting the stage like this on purpose, mind you. It is a gigantic charity event, like $1.5 million raised in one day. He's emceeing it. And the year before, Maria Ho emceed it, and she was fantastic. She was so good. She was running around with the credit card machine, and she was swiping her own credit card to buy people in. It was great. And so Phil's emceeing it, and he's just sitting down and playing. And I was like, all right, this is weird. And I talked to him for briefly during a break, and I was like, hey, Phil, how's it going? And he goes, I'm on bullet number 3 because I'm rich. I was like, dude, we're at a charity event, you freaking weirdo. Like, what kind of answer to how are you doing was that? And so, yeah, that was Phil. That was just, he did not care that we were there to raise money for pediatric cancer. He wanted to win the charity event and let me know how rich he was in between. I was like, all right, man. Nice seeing you too.
All right. So Dave Portnoy and Phil Hellmuth, they're the same person.
Love talking about how rich they are.
Okay. All right. Number 5, Barstool Kate.
Kate is a gem. Kate is, damn. See, there's like military, like she's military, so I can draw that comparison to Jessica Dawley, but then I'm being too like stereotypical because they're both women and both military, but I don't think they have similar personalities. So now I'm trying to think of who's like quirky in the poker world that's quirky like Kate. Who's someone in poker who just like is just like flat out funny? Who's just like flat out a funny person?
Jamie Kerstetter?
Just female? Yeah, how about Jamie Kerstetter?
Yeah, actually, they're pretty similar. They both just like animals, and they're both pretty funny on Twitter. I like Jamie a lot in real life. Also, I registered for the main event in line behind her, but I had to go get my money from someone else. So I was like, hey, I'll be right back. Save me a spot. But I was also drunk, and I couldn't find my way back to the line. And then she had to come find me in the hallways of the Rio to get me back to register for the main, and then I didn't make day 2.
Hold on. You played the main event drunk out of your mind?
No, just to register, like the day before.
Okay. Woo. Backers would have been happy with that. All right, that's the snap call. That's segment is brought to you by Brent Hanks. One last note here before we let you go. Give me the Barstool Nate quarantine tips. What are we watching? What are we doing? What's our routine? How are we staying zen with our mind and sort of, we go up to the rooftop but we don't jump off. We just like stay on the rooftop and just enjoy the scenery. Because if I feel as though you might have some tips, or maybe you need some tips, just let me know.
So the first 2 weeks, I think a week and a half, 2 weeks, were pretty bad. A lot of anxiety about like how long is this going to go for? When does this end? I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. My sleeping pattern was all off. I then started playing online poker, which got me into a routine, which I liked, but it was an expensive routine, which was bad. Now I'm going to bed at a reasonable hour again, which I find important. I woke up at a real time this morning, like getting like 7 hours of sleep at night, which I found very important. I feel a lot better having slept a full night, like a regular time, not going to bed at 5 and waking up at 9 to work. I think cooking food is, you just have to, all we're being asked is to stay at home. It's not like the world is necessarily like under attack or ending or anything. We're not in the middle of a war. So I don't know, just remembering that, like, oh yeah, life can continue to be somewhat normal. Eat breakfast, do work, drink coffee, podcast with the fellas. Just don't go to bars or restaurants, and just remember that everything will be fine in 3 to 12 months.
We are at war with an invisible enemy.
Don't forget your terrible poker takes.
Don't forget that.
Exactly. Brent's mind is our biggest enemy. Let's be real. Brent, now that the quarantine is really sort of set in, do you have any tips for the people at home that have children? Because I can only imagine that they might use this podcast as they are locking themselves into the bathroom to get away from the mayhem for a minute.
No, I think Nate nailed it. Stay healthy and think of others and maintain your sanity. Do whatever it takes. I mean, Remco, we can see that you're out there riding your bike around. Nate, he's talking about walking around New York City with a liter full of vodka and pink lemonade. You know, for us, we'll take the kids out on a walk and we'll go to a park if it's empty and we'll play outside and run around. My wife's actually outside right now in our driveway, which we have set up as like a gymnasium. They've got everything out there and they're just running around. So, yeah, try and stay sane.
Yeah, the only thing that continues to get to me, and I think everybody's like this, and that doesn't necessarily help. Like, well, everybody feels this way. If it's a negative feeling, it doesn't really help you. But it's like, it is really just the unknown. And there was an article, and I can't remember what site. It could have been NPR, but I don't think it was. And they were talking to a doctor, and he called it basically grief. It's the grief of not knowing what comes next, where it's like, when will I literally see my family again? Like, when will I be able to see my friends again? Like, I'm just stuck in New York. And, you know, I FaceTime with them and stuff like that. But as humans, we've never been told in our lifetime, don't see other humans, stay at home. And it feels like something you would see in a movie. So inherently, it's kind of hard to comprehend. But we just have to accept that is our reality right now, as bizarre as it is. And I miss, like, you know, watching hockey more than anything, like going to hockey games. I miss like that, like stuff like that. But I realize like there's much bigger issues at hand here, such as there's no hospital beds and like nurses working 24-hour shifts and stuff like that. You know, small like unemployment rates through the roof, that kind of stuff. So I consider myself, all things considered, pretty lucky that I still have this apartment that I'm not worried about paying rent in. I still have my job. I'm still able to podcast, and I have disposable income to play poker. So I'm trying to remember that type of thing where there's a ton of people who are not even close to as fortunate as I am. Now, not to discredit the importance of mental health, and like just because you're in a good situation like me doesn't mean you're also not losing your mind. I'm not the strongest mental health guy as it is, so it's very easy to lay awake at night dreading the unknown. That's just naturally going to happen, no matter if you're worth millions of dollars like Brent Hanks or worth crumbs like me. It's just going to be natural. So, it's just important to find the balance in your head, remember what's important, and hopefully, you know, we get through this and it doesn't freaking happen again, because it sucks.
Oh, one more thing. Watch Contagion and Outbreak back to back in the same day.
And subscribe to the Cracking Aces podcast on iTunes. It's the Global Poker Index Poker Podcast of the Year, as voted on by my peers. I host it. It's the best poker podcast besides the one I'm currently on, which is also the only poker podcast I think deserves to be recognized alongside Cracking Aces. Every other podcast stinks besides ours.
We should just do our own podcast awards and just give it back and forth year after year.
We did an entire episode where I basically did exactly that.
I agree with that. All right.
Very well done. By the way, your podcast is phenomenal. Cracking Aces. Your co-host, Jake Toole. We haven't mentioned him yet, Remco, before we end the show. Nate, can we get an update on Jake? He has actually been very scared of the coronavirus early on, months ago when I was tuned in. He was worried about it. How is Jake right now?
Yeah, so Jake Toole, my co-host, one of the best poker players in the world, he was very early to realizing that this was going to be bad. He was early on. Full credit for. And quick side note, when I got the flu about 5 weeks ago at this point, where we were still going to work, like everything was somewhat normal. We knew Corona existed, but we didn't know how bad it was going to be in the United States. We had an interview for the podcast with Brad Owen, and we do the interviews from the Barstool offices. And I didn't tell him that I had the flu because I knew he wouldn't come in and do the interview. Now, I didn't know I had the flu yet. I knew I was sick, but I hadn't gotten tested yet. But I was like, we really need to do this Brad Owen interview. I know I don't feel well, but I can't tell him I don't feel well. So then the day after we did the interview, turns out I had the flu, but that's one of our highest downloaded episodes of all time. Shout out to Brad Owen. So it was well worth it. But no, Jake's doing fine. He's crushing online poker in New Jersey, absolutely crushing, because he's playing so much because games won't stop running. And he's just the best cash player in New Jersey, and he's dominating.
The fact Jake he actually owes you a shot right to the balls while he's playing paddle tennis because of what you did to him. What if you could have really got everyone sick, Nate?
We had to do the Brad Owen interview. He's the biggest vlogger in poker. He has a huge following. What were we going to do? Cancel it?
My God.
Work comes first.
My God.
Work over health.
The Cracking Aces podcast. Everybody who's listening and watching to this show, please make sure to subscribe to that podcast.
So, also,
go ahead.
The CEO of ACR, who I'm convinced will one day be in jail, will be on the Cracking Aces podcast on Thursday. I'm very excited to talk to him.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sure he's thrilled to hear this lead up.
Well, I will preface that with, if it's illegal for me to be playing in New York, according to our lawyers, I would like to know his side of how he's allowed to operate it in New York.
He's in Costa Rica.
It has to fall on somebody.
He uses this thing called the internet, where you can send your shit to anywhere in the world, and that's sort of how this thing still runs.
You know how the internet works. Let's face it.
It's bullshit how is poker going to be legal in 4 states and one of them is Delaware? We're the United States of America, and you can only play in 4 states, 3.5 if we're really talking about Delaware. And I'm in New York, most important city in the entire universe, and I'm getting lawyers yelling at me for playing a $15 turbo on ACR. What the fuck are we doing? God, it drives me nuts.
Oh, I'm glad that we went through all these emotions on this podcast, and we really
I forgot about that one.
We came to the center of all of this, and we had a really good conversation. And now we're still going to end with a lot of anger, but I still think this is the right time to end this podcast. Nate, thank you so much for being on the show. Shake your head and
no, I could do like another half hour about how much I just can't believe we can't play poker from our couch in the middle of a pandemic. It's the fucking craziest thing ever. Like, figure it out, lawmakers. Just hit a button and be like, we'll figure out the politics and the money of it later. Just be like, legalized. All right, great. Now we're all happy again. Like, someone just figure it out.
You should go camp in New Jersey and with your LTE network and just go like have a tent or something. Do it from a tent.
Yeah, like outside of a Starbucks, like in a Starbucks parking lot. I'm just going to sit in a tent and grind $2.20 turbos on PokerStars.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on the show. We'll be back next week, noon on Tuesday, with a new guest. And I'm sure we'll have Nate on again in a few weeks to see how much longer the beard has gotten and how we gotta have Nate back on the show. That's definitely going to be happening during all this. You guys, thanks for listening. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the championship run on PokerGo if you want to see Chris Moneymaker win the main event all over again. And then on Thursday, live on PokerGo, run it back with Remco. It's going to be myself with Maria Ho breaking down some of her most iconic hands from PokerGo action. So that's going to be really a lot of fun. And please make sure to chime into that show as well on Twitter. For now, that was the Poker Center podcast. You guys, thanks for watching. Nate, thanks for being a guest. Brent, I hope you're safe. And we'll see you guys next week.
Love you guys. Love you more.
I love sound.
I like when we talk, you can't hear the music.
I love this.
It's great.